Hey, everybody. I'm excited that you guys are joining us, all you Homeschool Idaho parents and families, and I hope your kids are here. If they're not here, run and grab them because they are going to love this interview. I am here with my friend, Jennie Kilcup, who is an incredible artist. She is a homeschool graduate, and she is a local Idaho artist. So, welcome, Jennie.
Thanks. I'm so excited to talk to you about this. I'm
Yay,
really excited. It's going to be fun.
we're very excited. Tell us what year did you graduate?
In 2012.
In 2012, she
Yeah.
graduated, and were you
Can I say yes?
2012, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
that's how you say it. I'm still trying to figure it out too.
I know, right?
2012, 2012.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so Jennie, will you tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks again for having me. I'm super excited to chat with you today. My name is Jennie Kilcup, like Abby said, and I grew up in the Ketchum area and I was homeschooled for my whole entire life. I now live in Boise, Idaho with my husband, and we've been married for almost 5 years, which is kind of crazy. And I'm a full-time watercolor artist coming up on 4 years of doing it full time. So that's kind of what I've been doing and have had a lot of shifts along the way. But here I am, and I'm so excited that I get to pursue my passion full time.
That is awesome. So I'm gonna pop up Jennie's website right here so that you guys can go check that out. But don't leave us to go check it out. Just write it down and come back. But her art is Jennie's watercolors are she's probably, I'll be honest, like my favorite artist ever.
Thanks, Abby.
It's amazing. And the reason I love your art is, well, it's beautiful and very talented, but you focus on Idaho and wildlife and things that we can relate to, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's totally like a huge inspiration of mine. Growing up in the Wood River Valley, as you know, is just so scenic and beautiful up there. And all of the nature and landscapes have really inspired my art. And I just kind of go with that with the Pacific Northwest vibe and a lot of like nostalgic vintage stuff as well. So if you have any of those like in your house, I would definitely go check it out.
I love that. Okay, well, will you share a little bit about your homeschool journey with everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so my parents homeschooled me and my sister our entire lives, which was awesome. And we did it from pre-K to till I graduated. And I used the program called Abeka. I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who use that program still. And but back in the day, I had VHS tapes, so I'm not like that young. But that was awesome. So
Okay, there's your
I
history
did.
lesson. If your kids are watching this, go find out what VHS is.
Yeah, seriously. And I can tell you, probably the moms don't want to know all the tips and tricks of how to like speed up the talking so that the lessons go faster and like all sorts
Oh
of things.
my goodness.
But I just decided that at around like my junior year in high school that I decided that Abeka wasn't my favorite thing to do. So after a little bit of coaxing, I got my mom and dad to let me try out a new program that I kept hearing about from other homeschoolers around the valley that I was friends with. And I did my last 2 years of school with Alpha and Omega's Monarch program, which was all online. So that's what I ended up doing for the rest of my schooling.
Very cool. So that was what you did at the end of your high school.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that we have the homeschool freedom to switch it up like that, and that that
Yeah,
your parents embraced that freedom, that you can break free
absolutely. Yeah,
and
it was
try new
awesome.
things. Very cool. So what were your 3 favorite experiences during your homeschool years?
Oh, so many things actually. Just because of the ability to be like have our own flexible schedules. Several of my favorite experiences was that my family took a lot of trips because of it. That we had the freedom to do that during like the school year and off times when my parents had the flexibility as well. And so I got to do a road trip in a motorhome with my mom and dad and my sister around the United States for a month. And it was awesome because, while we're learning US history, we got to go to all the US history like landmarks that we were like learning about, which was awesome. And then another cool experience was going to Australia. We got to do that as well. And we traveled again on a road trip. We're a big road trip family from the top of Australia down to the bottom for a month, which was super, super cool. And then, yeah, so I got to do like a lot of that kind of stuff. And then just a lot of other experiences along the way that the flexibility of that homeschool has that I got to do was just like little jobs that I wouldn't have been able to do if I had, the schedule that normal public schooler kids have.
Right.
And then, and then my biggest, like the most important one to me was being able to take art classes. And I was able to do that along the way. So I was initially in, when I was learning how to do art classes, I was initially in the child age group. And then because of my flexible schedule, I got to advance into an adult class, which was during like normal school hours. And I got to really advance my skills in my watercolors because I was able to take those classes as well.
That which you wouldn't have been able to do probably if you were in the
No,
the all day long school. That is so awesome. I didn't realize you guys did so much traveling. Do you know that
yes.
now there is a thing called road schooling?
No way.
And it's like a whole thing where homeschool families, they road school and they just sell everything, go in an RV, and they road school. Isn't that cool?
Wow, that
Your
is
mom
awesome.
was so cutting edge. She didn't
Yeah.
even know it.
Nowadays, I bet you my parents would actually, if they like did it over again, would do that.
Would totally do that.
Totally.
That's awesome. Okay, so how did your homeschool experience, and you shared a little bit about this, but how do you think your homeschool experience influenced, contributed to, and prepared you for where you are now?
Yeah. So kind of back to like the huge ease of flexible schedule, I would say would be like my biggest takeaway from it. Because of that, I was able to, take the art classes that I wanted to and go do a lot of other jobs outside that I wouldn't normally be able to. So going into, high school and later ages where you would really want to start having like a job and start building your resume, I already had a built up pretty big resume because I was able to go do a full-time job at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So people would hire me more likely than somebody who didn't have that ease of schedule, who could offer a couple more hours than a normal student. So I was able to use that flexibility a lot to my advantage. And then, so that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, just to get some business experience in there that you wouldn't have normally had. Because you're only 22? 20?
No, I'm almost 26.
Oh, you're almost 26. But you and at 26, you're not just like doing art on the side. This is your full-time gig and you're very successful at it. And
thank you.
You're very well known in the art industry, and that's not normal.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, you're not normal. That's not normal for a 26-year-old because usually people graduate from high school and then they get to start pursuing their passions and their goals. And you were able to do that at such a younger age because of the freedom that you had to homeschool.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really special.
Yeah,
I
and
loved
just
it.
the encouragement of your mom to be there and do that. So
that was huge.
Yeah. So I want to share what I think is so neat about your story that I always love is that you did a lot of art when you were little, and then because your mom's really good about, she exposed you guys to a lot of, she let you try a lot of different things. She signed you up for a lot of different, just to see what would stick. But then you were very into art when you were young, but then didn't you take a huge hiatus?
I did. Yeah. So
share a little bit about that because I love that.
I did. So I took my watercolor classes that my mom put me in, and just kind of like to preface that story was I was super passionate about art in my whole entire life, and I was always painting, always drawing, and my mom was awesome about this, and I think that's so important for like homeschool parents to like find passions that their kids are interested in. And so it wasn't necessarily watercolors that my mom was like, oh, Jenny's really good at watercolors, I want to put her in a watercolor class. It was just because she saw that there was a watercolor class available in our community. And so she was like, here's a creative outlet that I would like, maybe see if Jenny was interested in. And if she hadn't have done that, I would never have fallen in love with watercolors, which I think is super awesome. So I started taking watercolors at the age of 8 till about 12, a little bit later than that. And I had the most amazing art teacher in the entire world. I still love her to this day. She's the greatest and huge inspiration in my life. And, but she ended up at around 12 is why I say 8 to 12 is that she went back to actually teaching art in the public school system. And so at that point, I didn't have an art teacher, and I just kind of stopped. I didn't like stop painting altogether. I just never really had that guidance. And being 12 years old, it's not like something that I was like, how do I learn more? I don't have an art teacher, besides just painting on my own. So I kind of did stop, besides just having the art passion that I did to paint all the time. So I didn't really pick up my paints for a really, really long time. And I wouldn't say that like here and there, my mom would beg me to be like, hey, can you draw me a picture? Hey, can you do this? Just to keep it going. But it wasn't really until my freshman year in college, actually, that I didn't necessarily know which direction I wanted to go in college. I didn't even necessarily want to go to college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do ultimately. And I decided to take a lot of art classes again in college during those like general education part of your college education.
Right.
And that really like sparked some interest back into my art side of things. And I just started really going back with it. And that's when my watercolors took off again. I was actually using some of the watercolors that I used when I was 8 years old, because that's how long they keep. But It was super, super cool. So yeah, that kind of like kickstarted it back off. And then, roundabout story, got to where I am now after pursuing another job with the college education that I got. So
that's incredible. And that to me, it inspires me as a mom to not be discouraged if I share these experiences with my kids and they love them, but then they kind of veer off into something else.
yeah,
That it wasn't
absolutely.
a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of effort or energy or money, that, it's somewhere along the way that will be used. So.
Oh, absolutely. That's so important.
Yeah, I love that story. So we really should have had your mom on here with us, because she's such an inspiration and encouragement for homeschool moms. She's always been one of my homeschool mom mentors. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
She's probably watching. So hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Leave a comment, Mom, if you're here. Yeah. And whoever's watching, if you guys want to leave comments, and I know a lot of people will come back and watch this later, because the truth is we're homeschool moms and we're probably shuffling kids around right now and making dinner.
Yeah.
But if you're live, you can leave comments. Otherwise, leave comments later, and Jennie might pop on our Facebook page and answer them if you can, or I will for sure. So, okay, Absolutely. What would your greatest advice be to current students who are home educating, current homeschool students?
I would go back to what I was just kind of talking about take advantage of your schedule and take advantage of something that you're passionate about. You might have no idea where that could take you, but talk to your mom and dad, talk to your parents about, like, okay, I'm really interested in art, or I'm really interested in math. Like, how can we expand upon that? Like, what are there other options out there, that I can go see if I'm interested in that? Your schedule is so important. I think that was ultimately my absolute favorite part about being homeschooled, was the flexible schedule, because I was able to do so many things after the time I could get my schooling done. Sometimes I would just sit down and crank out my school as fast as I possibly could in the morning, so that way I could go do other things in the afternoon. If that means being outside, doing sports. I golfed a lot, so I wanted to golf and, do all sorts of different things. So I would just say the biggest advice that I have would be to take advantage of your schedule. So I know that with homeschooling, you need a lot of self-discipline and self-motivation to get it done. And I think that that's a huge area. So if you can get it done, so that way you can alleviate your schedule, so you can pursue other passions, you're going to only excel in different areas from there. To kind of go off on a tangent on that self-motivation area, I want to expand on that. So when I was in college, there was something that I noticed a lot about a lot of my friends who were public schooled, is we started doing some like online classes, because those were the only classes that were offered in college in certain different subjects. And so I wanted to take those classes, because like online sounded great to me, because that's exactly how I was taught, like especially with the last 2 years with like Monarch, because that was all online. And so they would be like, oh, I just absolutely hate online classes. I don't understand it. And it's because that's just not how they were taught necessarily. And so I think that was a huge advantage for me in my later years of college, because I was not only able to like do that full time and pursue a job full time for my last years of education, make it a lot easier on me than I say, other people would have it.
Right. That's so good. I'm taking notes.
Oh.
Yeah, but I love that self-discipline and self-motivation, because and I hear constantly that colleges, they're seeking out homeschool students because they can self-motivate and, have self-discipline.
Classes are exactly like how we were taught. So it's like, you're only just going from one thing to the other, and then you're getting a college education out of it, which is awesome. I mean, college might not be the answer for you, you might be pursuing different areas, but I still think that self-motivation element that homeschool brought to the table was
Absolutely.
huge in it, like advancing me. And especially even in my career right now, I am full-time artist by myself. And the only way that I can get out there or motivated or, expose my art to other people is by self-motivation and exposure, doing it all on my own. And I have a huge drive for that. And I think that was instilled really early in me because I had to get it done in homeschool too.
Right, absolutely. I love that. And also, there's a couple things that I wanted to hit on is so your sister Esther,
Yeah.
she was also homeschooled the whole time with you, and she's a business owner at a very young
Yes.
age. She just started
Yes.
her own business.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
so
would guess
excited
that
for
she
her.
would say so many of the same things. It was that
Absolutely.
self-motivation, that self-discipline, that just being able to pursue her passions in when she was done with school, to be able to really to thrive in the areas that she was gifted and talented in, and that your mom could really feed into
Absolutely.
that. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's amazing. I forgot about golf a little
Yeah.
bit. You're like a golf star too. Which I totally
Yeah.
forgot
Golf is
about that.
fun. Yeah, this is like a huge part of my homeschool education. So what was awesome about I was super passionate about golf. Actually, I did gymnastics my entire from forever until forever, but I ended up golfing in high school. And so, being homeschooled at Wood River High School, which was the high school in the town that I was living in, they allowed me to play golf on their high school golf team, so that way I could still participate and compete in that level, which was awesome. I'm not going to lie, it was a little bit uncomfortable because I felt a little singled out as the only homeschooler walking into the high school every single day for golf practice.
Right.
And I think a lot of homeschoolers feel that sometimes is that awkwardness. You kind of feel that singled outness, but that is, that's just a part of it. And I think that only made me handle confrontation a lot differently and be stronger because of it. But yeah, golf was super awesome. So I golfed all of high school for Wood River and then ended up getting a full ride golf scholarship for college for my first 2 years.
Isn't that amazing? So they're like, look at the homeschool
Yeah,
girl that just shows up for golf, because when she's done, she can go golf all day after she's done with her school, right?
exactly. So I golfed so much in high school. I just remember being out there golfing all the time and, before or after practice and not, again, golf usually takes about 4 hours per round and you can do that a lot easier if you have an easier flexible schedule.
Right. Oh, that is so great. That is so great. Okay, so before we wrap it up, a couple things. Do you have any resources to share if people are watching this and they're like, I have a kid that loves art. I have a kid who is wired this way, but I don't know what to
Yeah,
do. Where do I go? How do I start?
absolutely. Okay, so number one would be I would say get involved in your community. So I grew up again in Ketchum. I don't know where everybody's listening from, but we had this program in Ketchum called the Sun Valley Center of the Arts. And if you have a Center of the Arts or a program like that, they usually always have some sort of kid program involved in that. And so they can facilitate classes in all areas. And so what I would do is just have your kids jump into one of those classes, even if it's not a medium that they would want. Because again, I didn't know that watercolor was going to be my ultimate passion. So just try out different areas like that. I know libraries do a lot of art classes, and
I'm just jotting down notes. Sorry.
Yeah, you're okay. It's okay. There's so many different areas that you can jump into communities. Communities always have strong art programs with them. I feel like now living in Boise, the museum here has a huge art program for kids, and I think that most of those classes are free, if not very cheap and affordable to attend. And then lastly, if those aren't available to you, my favorite resource would be this website called Skillshare, and it's just www.skillshare.com. And it can be geared for anything. So you can literally go on there and be like, I want to learn how to do hand calligraphy. I want to learn how to use Photoshop. I want to learn how to do watercolors. It's an online membership program that will, you can literally type in anything that you want to learn. And there's 15-30 hour long classes that somebody has filmed and will walk you through for I think the first year is 99 cents for the year. or
This is
something
like
like
a
that.
homeschooler's dream.
Yeah, so that program is super, super awesome because it has so many classes. And again, it's online. So basically the same thing as being homeschooled. So you're just adding an art class to the day.
Right. Or I'm thinking too, something that would be great that we have the privilege to do as homeschoolers is like we don't do online school or do any online
Okay. Yeah,
curriculum, but is we can go in the middle of the day and see artists and hang out with artists and find people
absolutely.
like you and um get to know you and learn. And I think that's an incredible privilege that we have as homeschoolers is in the middle of the day we can actually go check out the art galleries, meet the
Oh, for
artists,
sure. Yeah.
um, get out there and do that. That would be great. Okay, so
Yeah.
I popped up Skillshare.com. Is that what it is right there? Did you see
Yeah.
me?
Skillshare.
Cool, that's a great resource. Okay,
Yeah.
so will you tell everybody I'm gonna pop up your website again, but where else can
Yes.
people find you? Because I am telling you, go look at this girl's artwork. It is unbelievable. And
Thanks,
here's
Abby.
super exciting is she has a couple pieces that she is donating to the silent auction for the homeschool
Yes.
convention in June. So make sure you get into there and check out her work at the silent auction because it's gonna be an item that's gonna go hot. I can already tell you. Um,
I hope so. That'd be awesome for them.
so
But
this
yeah,
is
that's
so you're at
awesome.
JennieKilcup.com, and where else can we find you?
And then also on Instagram, if you are on social media, and my Instagram handle is just at Jennie Kilcup, so just the same spelling as below. And
Okay.
you can find Instagram's really fun because I share a lot of videos of process videos, time lapses of me painting. So if that's something that you or your kids are interested in, that's also on there. And then also just following along on my daily life here in Boise. So
That is
yeah,
so great. Well, thanks, Jennie. Thanks for sharing,
yes. Oh,
just
thank you so much.
all the privileges of homeschool freedom and being, independently, privately homeschooled by your parents who did an amazing job.
They're
Um,
awesome.
yeah, they are. So thank you so much, and, if people have questions for you, they can get a hold of us, and we can pass them on. So thanks,
Okay,
Jennie.
that'd
We
be great.
appreciate it.
Thanks so
All
much.
right.
I appreciate it. Bye.